Hi, guys. Welcome to our Stanford essay analysis. My name is Liza Weale, and I'm a senior consultant here with mbaMission. We're going to talk about Stanford's 2 required essay questions this year. Essay A, what matters most to you and why? And the suggested word count there is 750 words. And essay B, why Stanford? And the suggested word count is 400 words. The important thing to know about that word suggestion, Stanford's pretty unique. They give you 1,150 words to play with. It's up to you how you want to use them across those 2 essays. However, that's a little broad, so they give you this suggested word count to just help you as you think about how long each essay should be. Okay, so those are the questions. Let's share with you GSB's advice, number 1. First, for this essay, we would like you to reflect deeply and write from the heart. Once you've identified what matters most to you, help us understand why. You might consider, for example, why is it so important to you? What people, insights, or experiences have shaped your perspective? Okay, so with Stanford's guidance in mind, now I want to push you guys a little bit further, help you get a little bit more tactical in answering this question. So here's our advice. And note, Stanford has had both of these questions for years and years. So we've really seen what works and can help clients figure out this essay. So the first piece of advice, it sounds obvious, but it's not. Start with a question. You really want to ask yourself, what does matter most to me? What is it? And here are some questions that we've come up with along the way through the years to help our clients dig into that. Here are some things I have them think about. What gets you out of bed each morning? What's your purpose? What's driving you? What are you fighting for? So think about these things. Think about what is really, if you shave everything else inside, what is that thing that's guiding you? Honesty with yourself is critical. Where I see people fall down a lot is they think that they should answer it a certain way or that GSB is looking for something. What they're looking for is the answer of what matters most to you and why. That's it. Be honest with this process. Be honest with this question. That will always lead you in the right direction. Okay? Once you figure out that I think this is what matters most to me, explore how that what has influenced you and how it came about. Think about the decisions you've made, your motivations and successes and failures. All of these things, if this is the thing that what matters most to you, should be pretty core to a lot of the major decisions you've made or the way you've championed things through or the things that you've pushed for. So reflecting on both where it came from and then how that thing has manifested itself in the decisions that you've made since is very important. Don't forget the why, but it should already be in there. What do I mean by this? So often people feel like, wow, I really have to explain the why, and I don't know why this matters most to me. I was born with it, and sometimes that's real. It's really hard to think about like, gosh, this thing, this driver inside of me, I can't say where it came from or why I have it. And that's okay, but do think about it. Do think about the things that influenced you to have this way of thinking and maybe the way it feels when this thing that matters most to you has led to decisions and actions. And if you explore those stories, both the root of it and then the sort of how this thing has grown in you and given you guidance, then the why will become apparent to the reader. So don't feel like you need a paragraph as why this is most important to me is because of X, Y, Z. That might be okay to address in your essay, totally fine. But more than likely, it might already come out in your stories as you share these decisions and motivations. Cliché or unique, it doesn't matter at all. Your stories are yours alone. So therefore, they are unique. I get this a lot. Like, well, everybody's going to say family. I don't know. You can insert anything that you think everybody is going to say into that sentence. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to GSB if the answer is unique. You are unique, and the stories you share, they will reveal it. You're not trying to delight GSB with something that is crazy unique in terms of what matters most to you. No, they're just trying to understand you, okay? So my biggest piece of advice in this is be honest to yourself. Really think about sharing what it is that matters to most to you and the stories that both show it and also have the actions that you've taken that really come from this too. Okay? All right. That's pretty deep. So let's go on to SAB, which is a little lighter in nature. So this is why Stanford. And you can even see in GSB's advice, this is much shorter advice. Describe your aspirations and how your Stanford GSB experience will help you realize them. Okay. That's relatively straightforward. If you remember the word count there, GSB suggests 400 words for this one. Okay. GSB's advice, now here's our take. This essay, I almost want you to let go of the why Stanford question. I want you to think about this as a puzzle, and you need to solve 3 pieces of it. You need to answer where you're going. Where are you going, right? That's the idea of what are your aspirations. We also need to answer sort of how does where you're going relate to where you've been? Because if the where you're going has no context to where you've been or who you are, just not really sure we're going to understand you, what drives you, and also really how likely you are to succeed in reaching those goals. And the third piece is how will you use Stanford to connect where you are going with where you have been? Okay, so it's a little equation, it's a puzzle, whatever you want to think about, but you want to address those 3 elements. Where am I going? Why? How does it relate to where I've been? And how am I going to use Stanford to connect those 2 areas? Okay. So in order to do this, I really want you to think about your goals. They are important. Just as I said on the prior slide about what matters most to you, it doesn't matter if it's unique or not, or cliche or not, that's not important. Same with here. Sometimes I feel like people think because they're applying to Stanford, they have to come up with these lofty, crazy, beautifully altruistic goals. That's great if those are your goals, but it's okay if they're not. Remember, what the school's ultimately trying to figure out is they're trying to understand if you are going to go change the world, change organizations, change the world, right? And whether or not you've thought about how Stanford is going to help you do that. That could be through consulting. That could be through starting your own technology company. That could be through being a product manager. It could be going into banking. Any of these are reasonable goals, but we need to understand, again, you know what I'm going to say here, how it relates to where you've been. And then the next part is also thinking about what exactly it is about Stanford that will help you get there. Okay, this is essential. You have reasons that you're going to business school. You have gaps in your skills, in your knowledge. You're going to use Stanford to close those gaps. Think about exactly what those are and communicate that. Your goal is not to convince them that you have unique knowledge about Stanford. It's that you've been thoughtful about what resources you want to leverage once you're there. Here's a trick. When you're done writing it, if you share it with a friend and that friend learns more about Stanford than they do about you, it's a mess. This essay is ultimately a chance for the school, who, by the way, knows everything there is to know about Stanford, right? But what they don't know is about you. So this is really all about, though it says why Stanford, you still want to give Stanford a chance to get to know you. So if the essay is more about Stanford than it is about you, it's a bust. Make sure that you are coming across in this essay, why you need certain things, what you hope to get out of Stanford's resources. Okay, guys. That's about the fastest I have gone through sort of, how to crack these essays. They are pretty much that what matters most to you is, I would say, the first or the most difficult, if not the second most difficult essay out there. So I know it's hard. We've got additional resources for you that I want you guys to keep in mind. Number one, check out our written GSB essay analysis. I mentioned that this is about the required essays. Stanford has, it includes one new optional essay about the times that you've driven impact. And there's also some sort of meaty short answers in the online app. So check out our essay analysis for additional tips on those. We've got tons of resources when it comes to GSB. We've got our Insider's Guide, which can tell you all about those resources that you're going to take advantage of in order to reach your goals. And we our founder just wrote a new, really rich guide on the What Matters Most to You and Why essay, as well as HBS's What More Do You Want Us to Know About You? It's a really robust guide, so you can check that out, and it will help you think about both GSB and HBS. And If you haven't, sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. What we cover is completely up to you, whether it's talking about your what matters most, or whether or not GSB is a good fit for you, or really whatever you have in mind. If you haven't chatted with us yet, do so. I look forward to it. In any case, best of luck to you in this journey. I know that GSB can be daunting, and it does require vulnerability. But if you answer these questions truthfully, then you're doing yourself justice. Okay, good luck. Thanks.